22, which is all about debt recovery and SARFAESI. As an introduction, bank gives loan, right, which has to be repaid over a period of time. This securitization is something which you have talked about in company law also, in securities laws also. Do you understand the concept of securitization? Nila, good evening. Okay. It works like this. Pay attention. I, as an individual, I am borrowing money from, let's say, HDFC Bank. Okay. Now think of yourself as an officer in HDFC Bank. In HDFC Bank's books, where will it appear? My borrowing from HDFC Bank, where will it appear? Debtors, super. So, like me, there are many debtors, okay, who will repay the money over a period of time. Correct? You normally have this EMI concept, correct? So, I will be paying my debt over a period of say 10 years, another pays in 15 years, whatever period. It will be equated monthly installments. Now this HDFC Bank feels it wants money. Hi Mansi, good evening. It wants money today. So if it wants money today, what it should do? It has to take this set of debtors and sell it to somebody who is willing to pay, like your bill discounting. Are you getting it? Therefore, what they will do is, this debtor, which is a pool of debtors, we call it. All the debtors or whatever number of debtors they want, they'll pick it up and they will sell it to a company. Let's say, call them the oldest securitization company is ARCIL. Okay, Asset Reconstruction Company of India Limited. Now, this ARCIL will purchase from HDFC Bank this pool of debtors. After this, HDFC Bank is not in the picture. ARCIL will pay them money. So HDFC Bank is out of the picture. Are you clear? Now in ARCIL's books, what happens? This pool of debtors gets transferred from HDFC Bank's books to ARCIL's books. Alright. Now the problem is here. ARCIL has to get money from somewhere, no? Where will they get the money from? They will take a loan. Normally when you issue debentures, that is like you're taking a loan, no? When you take a loan, you have to give charge on some asset. Here, when they take a loan, they will issue in the form of security receipts. It's just a term like debenture. Okay? And what is the collateral for it, or what is the hypothecation of asset for it? This pool of debtors which they purchase, no, that is their asset, that will be put as collateral. So, pool of assets collateralizes securities. Are you clear? That's all there is to it. This is a concept. So, get that concept clear. We'll go ahead. How securitization gained importance? What is the advantage for the bank? One is they get the money immediately. The second big advantage is NPA, non-performing asset. If you have too much of that, then the bank itself gets closed, no? Or there is a serious issue with respect to the banks, right? So, to avoid NPAs, what they will do is they will give the debt in the beginning itself to ARCIL. And ARCIL will take care of it. They will do whatever is required. Okay. So banks had to take recourse to a long legal route against the defaulting borrowers, beginning from filing of claims in the courts. This was in the court earlier. Now it has been changed. In the meantime, what the promoters will do, They will not want it to go to the court, no? So what they will do is they will file for protection under BIFR. They will say we are a sick company, we can't do anything, therefore I am going to go under BIFR. Remember, if you remember what I have discussed with you with respect to SICA under MCS, no, we have discussed this. As if you go under SICA, all other proceedings will stop. Remember? So, they would take protection under that and dilute the securities available to the bank. They will also go ahead and sell. Therefore, debt recovery tribunals were set up, but they were not adequate. So, they created this act, which in brief we call it SARFAESI Act. It has got overriding power over other legislations, but it doesn't mean that it will wipe out the other legislation. Other legislations will be there. This will be in addition to that. Why is it there? For securitization and reconstruction of financial assets and enforcement of security interest. Are you clear till now? All of you? Now, I have told you many times, when you want to know the intention of the legislature, you have to talk about the statement of objects and reasons. You have to look at that, which is done at the time of the bill. Okay. So, Narasimhan Committee 1 and 2 and Andhyarujina Committee, constituted by central government, for the purpose of examining how the banking sector reform should be done. They felt a lot of changes are required. They said you enact a new legislation. That's how they came up with this SARFAESI. Okay, legislation for what? Take possession of securities, for securitization, and once you take possession of securities, sell them without intervention of the court. Earlier you had to go to court, take a court order, then only you can sell the securities. This was promulgated on 21st June 2002. Are you clear till here? This is a new thing for you, except those who have been with me in insolvency. For insolvency, the same thing was done, isn't it? But that doesn't matter. It will be a good thing to repeat because it's a fairly new thing. You have not encountered it before. Now, the main purpose of SARFAESI Act is to enable and empower secured creditors, which in this case is RCL or HDFC Bank, to take possession of their securities, deal with them without going to court. Alternately, if it is HDFC Bank, they can sell it to a place like RCL and collect the money front end. Are you clear? Now, if you clear till here, then SARFAESI Act has empowered the banks and financial institutions. They can also file an application for peaceful handing over of the assets. Typically, promoters won't give their assets. So, to ensure that the promoters give the assets, they can go to the magistrate and ask for some sort of support for getting the assets. Banks can package and sell the loans via securitization. Same can be traded in the market also, like bonds and shares. Okay? Pool of debtors becomes a one class. Now, Mardia Chemicals case, I seriously suggest that you read it fully. Okay? Basically, it said that ICICI Bank, it had taken a loan from. Okay? Now, they didn't return the loan. Mardia Chemicals did not return the loan in time. So, it became a sort of an NPA. ICICI Bank took some action under this act. So, Mardia Chemicals made a plea against the notice served by ICICI Bank. Government argued that the legislation would bring about financial discipline and reduce the burden of NPAs. So, it was urged by the petitioner, Mardia Chemicals versus Union of India. The petitioner said there was no reason to enact such a draconian legislation. Draconian means very, very harsh. Okay? Harsh legislation to find a shortcut to realize the non-performing assets. no provision has been made to take into account lender's liability. They are only saying that borrowers have not paid. But what about lenders? Don't they have any liabilities? Don't they need to do certain things? That's a question that Mardia Chemicals is raising. Third thing they said is the mechanism for recovery under section 13 does not provide for an adjudicatory forum of interstate disputes. Let's say there is a dispute between ICICI Bank and Mardia. They are saying there is no mechanism to, have some forum where they can actually dispute this entire deal. Okay. So, lender is saying I paid you so much, borrower is saying I don't have to return you so much. So, where you go? Under this system, Mardia is claiming there is no mechanism. And the appeal provisions were illusory because appeal would be maintainable only after possession of the property was taken over or the management of the property was taken over or the property sold, and worst part, the appeal is not entertainable unless 75% is kept with the DRT. Okay. Are you clear till here? This is the contention of Mardia. Why they are saying that this is a totally invalid act. Read it once more if you want. If you are done, I'll go ahead if you are clear. Are you clear? Appeal provisions given are very illusory, just like a window dressing. Just like that they have said, actual appeal you can't do. Because appeal is possible against any decision only after the possession of the property. That is, the lender can take away the property, they can take over the property, they can sell the property, only after that appeal can be made. You understand? And the part is, it is not entertainable unless 75% of the amount claimed is deposited. So whatever is the disputed figure or whatever is the figure involved, 75% of that must be put before the DRT by Mardia Chemicals, which is very unfair according to them. Because if I am saying that I don't have to pay this much, why should I put in that much money into the DRT as a deposit? Understand? Okay. Supreme Court said some provisions are harsh, but they are not unconstitutional. They said the purpose is to ensure that there is a proper mechanism, and that mechanism is there. So they say it provides for a forum and remedies to the borrower to ventilate their grievances, to state their grievances against the bank or financial institution. After the notice is sent, borrower can explain the reasons as to why measures should not be taken. And Supreme Court says the procedural mechanism is conducive, that is, it is within the framework of the principles of fairness, and that this procedure is also important. Why? Because you do need to have a procedure whereby the banks can take back the money when the secured debtors don't pay, right? And it also helps the secured creditors in conducting their affairs properly. Are you clear? Another safeguard is also available to a secured borrower. They can approach the DRT under section 17, which is another section altogether. Though that can be done only after section 13 of actions are taken. Now what is section 13? What is section 17? We are going to come up later. Every section we are going to deal with. So you wait, okay? The only thing they struck down as invalid in this act was the 75% business. They said that is a bit too much. Supreme Court says it is oppressive, onerous. Onerous is too burdensome, an arbitrary condition, and against all canons of reasonableness. And hence, this provision is invalid and it is liable to be struck down. Are you clear till here? Then the portion act comes. Definitions, all the definitions to be done. I've just picked a few. Asset reconstruction means acquisition of asset by any ARC. Think of ARCIL, acquiring the assets, no? That is asset reconstruction. Who is a borrower? Any person who has been granted financial assistance by the bank. I told you I am the borrower, right? It can be a company who has borrowed. Then that company is called the borrower. Any person who has given a guarantee is also a borrower technically. Okay. What is a financial asset? Read this and tell me whether you figure this out. Basically, it means a debt or receivables. And it includes all of that. Includes means you can add some more. Remember? You read fully and I'll pick the points and tell you. Done? So financial asset includes a claim to any debt or receivables thereof. Any debt or receivables which is secured by mortgage of or charge on immovable property. It also includes a mortgage, charge, or hypothecation or pledge of movable property. Any right or interest in any security, any beneficial interest in property, any beneficial right, title or interest in any tangible asset, any right, title or interest in any intangible asset, and any financial assistance. Are you clear? So what's a non-performing asset? There are certain guidelines issued by RBI as to what is a performing asset, what's a non-performing asset. Okay, so it's based on those guidelines. Here, it is an asset or account of a borrower which has been classified by a bank or a financial institution as substandard, doubtful or loss asset. How do you decide that? In accordance with directions or issued by authority. If the bank or financial institution is regulated by a particular authority. In any other case, if it is any other bank or financial institution which is not regulated by any other authority, they are as per the guidelines of RBI. Are you clear? These are concepts, so I am going pretty slowly to ensure that you get the concepts clear. Once the concepts are clear, we can just go. Obliger. Obliger is a person liable to the originator to pay the financial asset. Obliger is obligation. Obligation means obligation to pay. Is the person who has the obligation to pay is the obliger. Okay. So he is liable to whom? The originator, the owner of the financial asset. That is HDFC Bank. Don't get confused. This is the borrower. This is HDFC Bank. Securitization is a process by which RCL takes the assets from the HDFC Bank. Keep the example in mind. So that completes your all the definitions. I have not taken. As I said, you have to know everything. Yeah. Asset Reconstruction Companies is ARC. It is a company registered with RBI under Section 3 of SARFAESI Act. For what purpose? For the purpose of business of asset reconstruction or securitization or both. What is the main objective of Asset Reconstruction Company? 4 objectives are there. One is to act as agent for any bank or financial institution so that they can recover the dues on behalf of the bank. Second is they can act as manager of the borrower's assets which are taken over by the banks or financial assets. This is how it works. Think of HDFC Bank. Okay, go back to that example. I have borrowed from HDFC Bank. I don't pay. What they'll do to the asset? They'll take it away, no? So, the ARC can act as a manager of the asset which is taken over by HDFC Bank. Are you clear? That's what this means. Third is, they act as receiver of properties of any bank or financial institution. As a receiver, when somebody goes insolvent. For that also they can act. And to carry on ancillary or incidental businesses with the prior approval of RBI. Now the actual act begins in terms of the sections. Okay, section 3 onwards, almost every section is covered. So regulation of securitization and reconstruction of financial assets of banks and financial institutions. First step, we are going to create the ARC. Okay, think of it that way. So can a ARC come up on its own? The answer is no. So no ARC can commence business without obtaining a certificate of registration granted under this section. And what is any net owned fund of not less than 2 crore rupees or whatever is specified by RBI. That's first. And Reserve Bank can give different amounts of owned fund for different classes of asset reconstruction companies. Suppose a ARC was existing at the time of this act, it has to make an application for registration within 6 months from the commencement, which is no longer relevant today. And every ARC should make an application for registration to the RBI in whatever form and manner as it may specify. The RBI may, while considering this application, they want to be satisfied on certain matters. What is the matters? Certain conditions. On inspection of the books and records of the ARC, that the ARC has not incurred losses in any of the 3 preceding years. That this ARC has made arrangements for realization of financial assets which are required. Okay? And it will be able to pay periodical returns and redeem it on the specified dates. And that the directors of asset reconstruction company have adequate professional experience. Are you clear? So if RBI should give that certificate of commencement of business, these conditions have to be fulfilled. Very simple, no? Now it will become very simple. It has to be convinced that none of its directors have been convicted of any offence involving moral turpitude. Sponsor of the asset reconstruction company, whichever group is bringing in this asset reconstruction company, is a fit and proper person. Now this fit and proper person is a term, okay, and it has been defined by SEBI regulations. Not this one, some other regulation. Asset reconstruction company has complied with or is in the position to comply with prudential norms. Prudential norms is how much asset you should have, how much liability you can have, how much liabilities are payable over a period of time. If that much is payable, that much deposits you should have. All those things Reserve Bank says. Okay. And asset reconstruction company should have complied with one or more conditions specified in the guidelines issued by RBI. And the RBI, once it is satisfied that the conditions are fulfilled, they will grant a certificate of registration to commence the business. They may add some more conditions. Now, if they are not satisfied, they will reject. Correct? But if they are rejecting, they should give the applicant an opportunity to be heard. And every ARC should obtain prior approval of the RBI before changing their management, including appointment of directors, whatever kind of changes may be there. Also, if there is a change of location of its registered office or change in its name. They said substantial change in management, no, here. Now, what is the meaning of substantial change that they have defined here? That you read. Done? Any difficulty? Okay. Neela, all fine, no? You can stop me wherever you want. Huh? Cancellation of certificate. So the RBI has issued a certificate. Now can they cancel it? Obviously they can. When will they cancel? If the company ceases to carry on the business of securitization or asset reconstruction, ceases to receive or hold any investment from the qualified buyer, fail to comply with any conditions specified, or at any time fails to fulfill the conditions which we mentioned in section 3, and fails to comply with any direction issued by RBI, maintain accounts, submit or offer for inspection its books of accounts, or fails to obtain prior approval of RBI where it is required. Are you clear? ARC, aggrieved by the order of cancellation of certificate of registration, may prefer an appeal within 30 days from the date on which such order of cancellation is communicated to it. And the ARC, which is holding investments of qualified buyers whose application has been rejected, it cannot stop its business until it repays the entire investments within the period specified by RBI. Obviously, it has to return back. Now, next step. We said who can become a ARC. Next step is how do they acquire the financial institutions' assets or banks' assets. So for that purpose, they will issue some security. I told you, security will be issued, security receipt. Which is the exact same thing they are saying here. Either by issuing a debenture or a bond or any other security in the nature of debenture, or it can be by entering into an agreement with the bank for transfer of these financial assets on any other term or condition. Any document executed by any bank or financial institution in favor of the asset reconstruction company will be exempt from stamp duty. Normally, it is treated as transfer of asset, no? So, transfer of asset is subject to stamp duty, right? Remember Indian Stamp Act. This will not apply. That means they will have to pay stamp duty if the transfer is not for asset reconstruction purpose or securitization purpose, obviously. Only if the purpose is asset reconstruction or securitization, there is no stamp duty. Now, if the bank or financial institution is a lender and the assets are acquired by the asset reconstruction company, then the bank will be replaced by RCIL. As far as I am concerned, I have taken money from HDFC Bank. HDFC Bank has transferred the pool of assets to whom? To RCIL, right? So, if the lender shifts, it is a subrogation, no? So, I will be owing the money to RCIL. That's all they are saying. Now, one step further. One step further is when I borrow from the bank, I have given some asset as a security. Correct? So, whatever asset was there as security with my debt, with my loan, okay, loan plus asset will be transferred to RCIL. Isn't it obvious? all contracts, deeds, bonds, agreements, whatever instrument which relate to the financial asset, which are having effect immediately before the acquisition, to which the bank or financial institution is a party. Okay. Whatever deed, agreement, whatever contract may have been entered into by the bank with respect to this pool of debtors, which are in favor of the bank, it will continue to be in favor of the ARC. Again, same concept. If loan plus asset goes, loan will go with all contracts which relate to that loan. Agreed? If on the date of acquisition of the financial asset, any suit or appeal or any other proceeding with respect to this asset is pending, okay, except what is there under SICA. If it is under SICA, then everything else stops. Okay, so don't get confused. SICA is separate. Save as provided in SICA. So the same shall not abate. That means that proceeding will continue against the ARC. It's like a takeover case, no? Or change of name case, you can call it. Either way you can take it. Get it? On acquisition of financial assets, asset reconstruction company may, with the consent of the originator, file an application before DRT or appellate tribunal, etc., to substitute its name in place of the originator. Originator is who? HDFC Bank. So instead of HDFC Bank, ourselves name is to come no everywhere. Transfer of pending applications to any one debt recovery tribunals. Here, it's a very simple scenario. I'm not going through each and every word. I'll tell you what is it. Now, normally there will be one lender, no, for one debtor. But there can be several lenders for one debtor, no, syndicated debt. You have studied, no? Yeah. So, if it is a syndicated debt and it has not been paid by the company, okay, so each of them would have filed the case. Where will they file the case? Whatever jurisdiction. Okay. Now, it may have gone to different DRTs on the same matter. So when it is being taken over, or the syndicated loan is being taken over by this RCL, all the cases related to it which is lying in all these different DRTs can be pulled together, no? That is what they are saying over here. To any one DRT as it deems fit, ARC can say. On receipt of such application, they will pass the order. Are you clear? And any order passed by the appellate tribunal will be binding on all DRTs. Any recovery certificate issued by a DRT will be executed. Recovery certificate is how much ever money is recovered. It will be distributed amongst these people as per the Recovery of Debts Due to Banks and Financial Institutions Act, what we call in short as RDB Act.